What is up, all you savages? So, this video may look very similar to the last one, and that's because I decided to film my next video on the same day I made my last video. And we're going to talk a little bit about the next car and how we're going to get it. How we're going to get it is it's going to take some time. So as you know, as I stated in the last video, I just sold the Mach 1 to pay some debt off. I'm getting all my finances in order. I'm getting myself in a better financial situation where I'm actually going to be able to start putting money away, which is what I've been needing to work on. And I got my sights locked in on the next Mustang. And the next Mustang is actually probably going to surprise you guys. I've been doing a lot of thinking about what's going to make the most sense. I've always been a New Edge guy at heart. I've always said it'd be cool to have a Terminator Cobra one day. It'd be cool to maybe have another Mach 1. At the end of the day, I'm a New Edge enthusiast at heart. And you know what? The next car is not probably going to be a New Edge, which is kind of crazy to say. I've pondered the idea of building another Fox body like the car I had in high school. Couple of reasons why I don't want to go Fox body is because, one, they're very expensive. Just to find like a decent car with good bones, I actually found one that really reminds me of my old car in high school. It's a 90 GT hatchback. My first car was an 88, white. Mine was a 5-speed converted to an automatic. I found a very nice clean 90 white. Perfect example of a Fox body 5-speed car. But here's the thing. I know if I get another Fox body, it's going to turn into another massive project car, because I'm going to want to turn it into a dream build. And here's the thing. Fox body is a great example of a street strip kind of car. They're going up in money. I'm talking another project like the Mach 1. I'm going to have to probably throw 30, 40 grand at it to get it to where I would want it to be, on top of the cost of the car. And then I've always wanted a 0304 Cobra. Being realistic, looking at those, just making sense to myself. Now I'm looking in $25,000, $30,000 territory for a dream car. But the problem is from what I learned buying my Mach 1, I want a car that's not going to be as abused, which is going to be very difficult to find with the Terminator, because anybody that's owned those cars, let's be honest, they've all had their foot in it. It's going to be hard finding a car that's been less through 5 owners. It's going to be hard finding a car that has less than 70, 80,000 miles on it within terms of what I would want to pay for one. And then when we start getting into the territory of like clean example of an 0304 Cobra, hasn't been through a lot of owners, has 50,000 miles on the odometer, we're looking at a $30,000+ car that's 20 years old. And if it's one thing I've learned about Terminator Cobras and watching videos on the internet, they have their quirks, they have their issues, they have the 4.6 gremlins, if that sounds right. They're boosted cars. Anything with the blower on it sees a lot of stress, and anybody that's had or owned one of those cars, there's no way they did not put their foot in it to hear that blower whine. So the concerning thing to me is I'm going to find a Cobra for probably 30+ grand, and as soon as I get it and or find the car that I would settle for, I know it's going to need work. It's going to need maintenance. It's going to need things. And I just don't want to go through that again like I dealt with the Mach 1. I just wound up rebuilding the entire car, which is something I'm fearful of with the Terminator, because I would just like to have like a clean, basic, nice example of like an '04 Terminator that doesn't need much, 20-year-old car. I don't want something that's just going to be like, oh, now engine code came on. It needs a coil pack. It needs this. It needs that. Because 20-year-old car, things are getting old. Things are going to need attention. I know those things are commonly known for like fuel rail pressure sensors, idle air control valves, 4.6 gremlins. There's a lot of upkeep that comes along with those cars, and I honestly would like to find something turnkey that's going to get me to where I want to go and what I want to do. My goal with the Mach 1 was going to be, boosted 4.6 built street car, 600 to 800 horsepower, which was the end all goal. I wanted to build something that was going to be appealing to the eye, something I could take out to the drag strip, run a number. And with all that I had invested in my car, looking at all it was going to take to get there, 30 grand. So this 30 grand is just kind of been like bouncing around in my head. 30 grand, 30, 40 grand, 30 grand, 30, 40 grand. Mach 1, Terminator, Fox body, could probably find one for around 8 to 10, and then I'd wind up sticking 30 grand in it. At the end of the day, to get what I want, I'm going to wind up spending 40, 50 grand at the end of the day. But I don't want to spend that, because I was thinking for 40, 50 grand, I could probably find a newer Mach 1, which would be super cool. Maybe a GT350, something that I would actually love and appreciate, that would probably check all my boxes. But the car that's making the most sense to me right now is going to be a 10R80 Gen 3 Coyote. The reason why is because they're not as old yet. There's a handful of cars out there that have had minimum ownership that haven't been used and driven as much, because I've been looking at the market. Bolt-ons and fuel with the auto, you have a 10-second street car. I found a couple in the $30,000 range, mid to low 30s, with decent miles on them, less than 70,000 miles. Some still new with like no miles on them. And in my head, making sense out of that platform, watching some videos online, they're modern, they are reliable, you could throw boost at them, you don't even have to open up the Coyote motor to make 800 horsepower. You might want to put some oil pump gears in it to make it reliable. But in the back of my head, I'm going, I have always thought it'd be cool just to have a real fast, pissed off, fun street car that I could take to the track. A car that I could take to the track, click off, run a number, and drive it home. A car that would get decent fuel mileage. A car I could drive to the beach. I could drive to Arizona. Comfortable, reliable, heat, AC, sound system, comfort. And the Gen 3 10R80 is starting to make the most sense to me. I've been considering the Coyote for a while. Gen 1s, Gen 2s, Gen 3s. I'm looking at best bang for the buck with what I can do with what I want to do, doing some research. And you could do the most with minimum effort with the Gen 3. So I have a spec in mind that I'm going to be saving and looking for as soon as some of this stuff clears. I'm actually paying my truck off here in a couple of months, and I'm going to be in the perfect position to start putting my money away, saving, getting ready to make this next move within terms of the future of the channel, and a car that I'm going to love, enjoy, and be very happy with. And with that being said, truck paid off, no debt. All my money is going to be going into savings, which is the goal I was trying to get to this year. That's why I sold the Mach 1. In a short amount of time, hopefully later this year, if not beginning of next year, I should be in the position to be able to afford to get into something, potentially probably finance my spec that I'm going to be looking for. And I have the car in mind, the spec. I am going to be looking for a 2018 to 2023. I think the car I'm going to want is a 2020 because it's a specific color. I would like a silver Gen 3 10R80 car, premium track pack if I could find one. I know the track pack's going to be the hardest, but if I could get a premium loaded GT and that spec, preferably a 2020, because in silver, it would be the iconic silver metallic. It would be the same color as my truck, which I think would just be a badass thing to have, that matching F-150 Mustang combo. It would just be sick. Matching cars, matching Fords, both 2020s. It would just be one of my biggest accomplishments that I think I really want to make an effort to work towards. Even though I'm probably going to be looking at 26, into 26, early 27 of ownership, it's going to be a 6-7 year old car. There's that number again. The fuck? It's haunting me. But it's going to check all the boxes because the 10R80 Mustang, it's a bolt-on princess. You really only need a tune to switch the car over to E85, do some exhaust, maybe do some wheels and tires on it, maybe some little aesthetics like a lip, stuff like that, tint the windows, and just have a fun, drivable car. Drive it anywhere, take it to the racetrack, click off a 10-second pass, and drive home. And this is where it gets really retarded, because a car like that with boost starts getting into real serious number territory. I see that the Gen 4 Coyotes are already doing it, and I know the Gen 3s can do it. On a boosted application with a fuel system and some upgrades like half shafts, drive shafts, you could get them into the 10s. I'm sorry, the 9s. You could get those cars down into 9-second territory. That's right. So I think the goal with that car would be to go Whipple, fuel system, tune, exhaust, and it won't need much. And you could drive it, enjoy it, drive it to work, drive it to the beach, drive it to Vegas. That's the car I need, because I will be able to get in that car at any given time and it will just check all the boxes that I want. Fun, enjoyable, reliable, fast, and it's not something that I would daily. It would be a weekend car. It would be a Friday car. I would keep the miles off of it so that way when I do want to drive it, it's not racking up miles. Because let's be honest, Coyotes, when they start seeing a lot of miles on them, they start having cylinder, issues. They start to get tired, especially mod motors or Coyote motors with the dual overhead cam and the timing system. When those chains get wore out, that's when stuff fails. Which is another thing I have in the back of my head. Okay, so let's say I find a car with 60,000 miles on it. Couple years of ownership, I put 10,000 miles on it. I boost it. Motor gets tired. It needs a new motor. Boosting it is going to cost 15 to 20 grand. To be honest, looking at Whipple kits and fuel systems and what it's going to take to get it there. um, 15 to 20 grand. Probably 15 to be on the more real side, 20 just for comfort for any other extra mods. But let's say I get the car and I put 20 grand in mods in it. I find a car for 30 to 35. Now I'm in at 20 later, so that gives me time for investment. Now I'm in the car 40, 50 grand. So now I'm in that Mach 1 territory again that I was talking about earlier. And then now I have a car that's faster than a Mach 1 for the price. And the value on those are probably going to go up too, because those are going to become collectors, like the 0304 Mach 1s, like the one I had. And then where was I going with this? Let's say the motor gets tired and it's time to put a motor in the car. Well, for about 10 grand, you could build a long block. You could do a stock sleeve block, put a set of rods and pistons in it, freshen up the heads. You can maybe lock out the cams if you want to, depending on tuning. Put that motor back in, up the fuel system, up the boost. Now I can make 1,300 horsepower on the street with a reliable street car. Now I have a car that I could take to the track and it's going to be in the nines and drive it home. Like, how cool is that? I know in modern today's society, like that's just like a thing that people do now, especially in the racing world. But it's just like, from my background and where I come from, my father and I, we stopped drag racing realistically back in 2015 when these cars were initially coming out. Before the EFI, the tuning, the boost, turbo kits, like 2005 to 2010 to 15, the technology is progressively getting better in drag racing. But at that time, there was no such thing as a car you could go buy from the dealership, put bolt-ons on it with boost and go nines. It didn't exist. And I'm a little behind with modern society and horsepower in terms of, my vehicles I've owned. My first, 9-second pass was in a built Fox body that had probably 100 grand put into it. So it's just how obtainable and easy horsepower is to achieve. And to do what I want to do, it's just buying the right car and doing the right things and being smart with your money. Because being realistic, to achieve what I want to do with this car, if I wanted to say go buy a Fox body and then I want to do a Fox body build, I'm going to wind up being 60, 80 grand into a Fox body build, which would be a sick, badass car when I'm done with it. And it would be nimble, it would be lighter. But to get it to the comfort, the power, and be enjoyable to drive compared to the money that would be invested into the Gen 3 platform, you're looking at $100,000 build with a Fox body, just being realistic. Just to modernize it and do the Coyote or the built motor, it's money. It's all money. And at the end of the day, I'm starting to be more realistic with what I want to achieve, what I want to do, how I'm going to get there, and what makes the most financial sense. So this video is basically me telling you guys the next car is going to be an iconic silver Gen 3 Coyote car premium package. And track pack would be a bonus. I would love to find one with the Recaro seats. If that's not the case, that's fine. I could probably hunt down some Recaro seats later. But that's the car. That's the goal. That's the dream. That's what we're going to be looking for. Would I settle for other colors? I've thought about it. Like, I really like the Ford Performance Blue. I really like the Lightning Blue. I've always thought a white Gen 2, Gen 3 car would be cool. I don't want to do another black car again. My last few Mustangs were black. They're very hard colors to take care of. And I just think iconic silver Mustang, iconic silver F-150, park next together in the driveway. That would be a sick goal to achieve. So that's what we're looking for, boys. We're going to be getting some money put together this year, and keeping our eyes out and just looking for that spec car. And I have a build in my mind that's just going to be so simple, and it's just going to look vicious, and it's going to run so good. That, and another cool thing about the track package cars, you could set up the paddle shifters. That's another thing I think that's cool about the 10R80. So a lot of people say get a manual. I got some buddies that say you're lame for wanting an automatic. But when I tell them like what my goal is and I want a car that's gonna be fast as fuck, everybody agrees, yeah, it's gonna be easier to get there with the auto. So I know some people are gonna say Gen 2 would be a better car for a drag car build because the 6R80 is a slightly better transmission. You're right, but I'm going to be enjoying the car for what it is for a while before it goes boosted. And when I boost it, I'm going to be aiming for like 800 horsepower. And if the trans doesn't live, then I guess I'd probably be doing some saving and looking for a midnight performance 10-speed auto. So, because I know the 10 speeds work. I know they work. I'm not trying to build a race car. I just want to build something that's going to check all the boxes in a car that I'm going to love, I'm going to enjoy, I'm going to be able to drive it, I'm going to be able to put my daughter in the back seat, take it out to the racetrack, run a number, and drive it home. That's the goal. So, till the next video, guys, that's the Mustang update. Don't forget to say savages, and we're going to be saving and looking for a Gen 3 car, boys. Peace.